like to welcome everybody to the 50th anniversary celebration of DHI Computing Service Incorporated. Before we get going, I want to ask Lynn and Beth to stand up. She's like, what did we do? You have been married for 44 years today. So I'm guessing it's her 44th anniversary working at DHI, is that right? Working together here. Although there are others in the audience that, you know, they worked a few years together here before they got married, so. All right, let's get going. Just want to do a little follow-up on yesterday. We had a lot of fun. We had the fun run. We had quite a crowd there. That was a lot of fun for those that participated. And then we went golfing out at Cedar Hills. Got 139 golfers out there. That was fantastic. I just want to say thanks to Jeremy White. I've never seen anyone lose a golf ball on the putting green before. Appreciate that lesson you gave me there. We had a fun time at the barbecue last night. The radar gun clocked the first pitch that was thrown out by Lynn at a whopping 89 miles per hour. Okay, maybe I'm fudging it a little bit, but I'm sure it was close, right? It was a little high, but it worked, right? All right. Okay, thank you to everyone that participated. I think it was a lot of fun for everyone. I know that I enjoyed it, and so did my family as well. Before we go forward, introduce those that are on the stand. We have with us, first and foremost, I would call her the matron of DHI Computing Service. We won't ask her to stand, but she knows who I'm talking about. We have Mildred Crandall right over here. Thanks for that. Just going to go across the stage. Ken Crandall and his wife, Linda, Lynn and Beth Crandall. We have the Mayor of Provo, Louis Billings. Steve Gensley. We had hoped to have the governor here as well, but I think after the events of about, 3-4 weeks ago, her lame duck status didn't make this as important to her. So, but we tried to get her here, but it didn't work out. But you know what? We're glad we're here, and we're glad everyone that's here is here. So we're going to enjoy who is here. Okay, before we get going, I'm going to just say a couple words, and then we'll go forth with the program as shown in the program. 1954. I just want to open your minds a little bit before we have everyone get up. And also, before we go on, I hope you notice this is videotaped, so if there are others that... there's been many people that have told me, hey, I'm not going to be able to be there, I got to be out of town for work. Could you please make sure and have it taped so we can... And we are doing that. The tape will be available. I think what we're going to try to do is put it on a DVD, or probably 5 or 6 copies of those, and rotate them around. So, and that'll be available probably next week. So contact me next week, and we'll get that for you, or those people that are not here. And we are also, after this, going to create many press releases and also special announcements with pictures and other things. We've already got a design for a good portion of that put together that will be sent to our clients and other people as well. So if you have ideas that you'd like to contribute to that, please let us know. Okay, 1954, let's talk about that year. The top 5 grossing films that year. Number 1, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. How many of you remember that? Number 2, The Caine Mutiny. Number 3, The Glenn Miller Story. Number 4 is Rear Window, one of my favorites. And number 5, the annual favorite, White Christmas. Tells you a little bit about the time, 1954, knowing what movies were the top movies then. A few other things. The New York Giants won the World Series that year. Think about it, New York Giants. The Minneapolis Lakers won the NBA championship. Sports Illustrated's first issue came out this year. Ernest Hemingway won the Nobel Prize for Literature. This was also the year that Vietnam became a big issue. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the president. Brown versus the Board of Education. It was a very momentous occasion in our country. Hank Aaron began his career. Ray Kroc got his first look at a place called McDonald's. The first Burger King was opened. M&M's went, they shocked a few people. They introduced an M&M with peanuts. Not just plain chocolate in the middle. They put peanuts. Okay? Elvis Presley made his first record. Ellis Island, after processing 12 million immigrants, closed. The first nuclear submarine, the Nautilus, was launched. The TV dinner was invented. Play-Doh was invented. President Eisenhower introduced the phrase "under God" into the Pledge of Allegiance, changing the phrase "one nation indivisible" to "one nation under God indivisible," something our country's battling in some ways. The first successful kidney transplant was performed by Harvard physicians, and that patient actually survived for 7 years. Roger Bannister of England ran a mile in less than 4 minutes for the first time. There's many, many other things I could talk about. Just a few. The average income, $3,960. That's a big change. You could buy a Ford car for between $1,500 and $2,500. I actually found an ad for a Nash that was $395. You could buy a house for a little over $20,000. Bread for 17 cents. A postage stamp, 3 cents. A T-bone steak was only $1 a pound. A lot of changes in our world. Anyway, hopefully that puts you in the frame of mind of remembering 1954 for what it was, what type of world it was, how the world has changed, and what we still are in that world, I believe. A success. And I believe we owe a lot of that to the founder and his wife, Bliss and Mildred Crandall, as well as their sons. We're going to hear from them today. After me, we're going to have Ken Crandall give a few words, and then we'll go with Steve Densley, president of the Provo-Orem Chamber of Commerce. We will then hear from Mayor Louis Billings from Provo City, and our closing remarks will be given by B. Lynn Crandall, the president and CEO of DHI Computing Service. I'll turn it over now to Ken Crandall.
I personally want to welcome the Mayor of Provo, the Honorable Louis K. Billings, to President and CEO of Steve Densley from the Chamber of Commerce for Provo and Orem. I also want to welcome the wife of our founder, Mildred Crandall, and all of you and our honored guests. I want to welcome you here to this very important occasion. 50 years ago today, Bliss Crandall started DHI Computing Service in the basement of his home in Logan, Utah. The next year, the year I turned 12, we moved to Provo, Utah. We're honored to have his wife present today. She co-founded this company with him and worked by his side all of these years. She continues to work every day in her 91st year. Right now she's having a short time off because of health reasons, but we're looking forward to her coming back. Lynn and I want to thank all of you for the love and the care and the concern and the kindness that you showed to Mom. I wonder if when Dad founded this company, he realized what it would become today. He really loved what he did. Many of you heard him talk about that and say about that. He would talk many times with a tear in his eye about how great it was to work with nature's most perfect food, milk. He worked up until just a few months before his death. He received many honors for his contributions both nationally to the dairy industry as well as to this community. 60 years ago, there were 30 million dairy cows in the United States. Now there are only about 9 million, excuse me. Just a wrong zero there. Milk production per cow in the 1940s was 4,000 pounds per cow per year. Now the average cow in the United States produces 19,000 pounds. And those that are using the program that he developed, the DHI program, are 22,000 pounds. This has happened to a large part due to the genetic improvements made possible through the program that he developed. And I'm honored to be his son. The success of this organization rests upon his vision and upon the contributions and dedication of the many employees that this company has had over the years. His continued success depends upon your dedication and your contributions today and into the future. We want to thank you for who you are and for all you do to make this company successful. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege on behalf of the business community for the Provo-Orem area to share this great day with you all. We were just talking a minute ago about 10 years ago we joined with Bliss and celebrated again our 40th anniversary inside in a little different situation. And it seems like a blip on the chart. 10 years have passed by, and you guys are growing, and the fact is you're growing so much. I understand you've already acquired the land to continue to expand this building. How many square feet is that expansion?
It's 33,000 square feet.
33,000 additional square feet that'll be added on, which is a real tribute to all of you and the terrific administration that you have. You know, the Provo area is just a terrific place to live. As chief cheerleader, self-designated, I have a chance to go all over the country to visit a lot of people. Next month I go to Vail, Colorado, actually go to the University of Colorado to meet with chamber presidents from all over the nation. And they're always curious about some of the things we do here in Utah. Some of the press releases we get are a little skewed sometimes. They have a peculiar attitude toward us, but we try and straighten them out and explain to them. You know, we've had some tremendous accolades that have come to this region. And a lot of them have to do with people like you who are here and make this community such a great place. You know, in '92 we were marked as Money Magazine called us America's #1 most livable community. Over the years, the last 10 years, we've had some fantastic things happening. We've been recognized all the way from being the safest city in America to, I got a kick out of one the other day, we were the best place in America to start a new restaurant. Go figure. In fact, as I think the mayor, I think we've got 3 new restaurants I think about to be announced down in East Bay or across here from, they tear down Howard Johnson's. I think they're going to put 3 new restaurants where they tore Howard Johnson's down. The ball people have talked to us about 3 potential new restaurants there. But we have a lot of hungry people, I guess. 60,000. We realize about 60,000 college-age kids here. You know, that's a tremendous synergy of young people with new minds, new ideas, new thoughts coming and going on a regular basis. And it's a challenge for Mayor Billings. Let me just say, I think we have, and I say this having dealt with a lot of mayors over the years in a lot of different cities, I think we have one of the best mayors of any city in this country. Lewis has stood up and been an honorable, decent individual for all the time I've ever known him. And he's had a challenge with dealing with the income and outflow of students and having to process some of the tremendously transient community that he deals with. But my hat's off to him, and I know he's behind you all 100% in anything you want to do in terms of that expansion and the continuing success you're having here in Provo. I know he's thrilled, as I am, to have you here in this community, be a part of it. And even though, well, you're probably, again, and I may be speaking out of turn, I think you're probably the first major computing company in this area. Yeah, I think if we were to track that back, I mean, there were some that debated that with me the other day in terms of whether Irene Research would have been there for that. Yeah, I think that's probably right. I think you were first. So congratulations on that first. Let me just say in conclusion, I know you're not here to hear me. It's a great day for you. We congratulate you. Our responsibility, for those of you who don't know what a Chamber of Commerce is, we're a privately operated, privately funded organization strictly dedicated to try and help you be successful and help this community be a better place to live and work. We congratulate you, and we hope you have many, many more years of great success. Thanks.
Good morning and congratulations. This is a beautiful morning. The weather's perfect. I commend those who organized this event for planning the weather so well. I hope that you'll get comfortable. They've asked me to keep my remarks to just under 60 minutes, and I think I can do that. You know, mayors get together. There ought to be a law against that happening, but mayors get together and they talk endlessly. And it's interesting as you sit with other mayors from across the country and hear what goes on in their communities versus what goes on in ours. And we have a remarkable community. You know, I was with a group of university city mayors recently. We were put together because we have universities, major universities, and we had to talk and learn from each other. And it was remarkable to hear what they brought up first out of the chute. They talked about the number of police officers they have to send regularly to frat houses and different issues that are related to students that attend those universities. Do you know how often I have to send police officers to a frat house to deal with students of our universities? Not very often. Not very often. They talk about the challenges of dealing with kids that get mad and respond in a negative way. And I could just list off the kinds of things. But I sat through about a half hour of that meeting and I said, you know, I don't belong here. I don't have any of these issues. And I think it's really remarkable. We need to realize the great people we have in this community. And you're a part of that community. This Crandall family is a part of that community. I can't imagine a technology company, a computer company, being in existence for 50 years and be so consistent. Isn't that remarkable? That's a tribute to each of you. But I bring up this conversation of meeting with other mayors because if you were a mayor and you were going to go up on a whiteboard and begin to list the characteristics of the ideal company you would like to bring to your city to create jobs, to create tax base, to create vitality in your community, can you think of a company that would be better than this one? I really don't think you could. A technology company that provides great jobs, that provides a meaningful service, and that does it not just for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years and then evaporates, but does it for 50 years. It's really quite incredible. Very, very remarkable. And I would just have to say thank you on behalf of the people of Provo for all the benefits our community has received from this organization. Now I look out at this audience and I would have to suspect that not very many of you were here 50 years ago. And I think that that's remarkable too. We see technology changing quickly in the marketplace. Bright minds and smart people are what make it possible for there to be practical application of that technology into the world. And I'm just sufficiently biased to believe that we will continue to have great opportunity if we pursue some of the things we have in the past in this community to help technology be a practical part of life if we learn the lessons that this organization can share maybe with other businesses. Now, they really would like my remarks to be short, and I'll keep them short. But we want to issue today an official proclamation. And I don't know, maybe Ken and Lynn, when we finish this, you can receive this. But we're today issuing an official proclamation of the city. It's a proclamation of honor. It's titled DHI Computing Service, Inc., recognizing 15 years of outstanding service. Whereas DHI Computing Service Incorporated was officially founded in 1954 by Bliss H. Crandall in the family basement. And whereas DHI has become a thriving corporation with 3 divisions, 237 employees, and a diverse clientele, and whereas these 3 divisions serve the financial, medical, and dairy industries across the United States, as well as parts of South America, and whereas DHI has established itself as a forerunner in the data processing industry and is now recognized as the oldest computer company in the state of Utah, now therefore the administration of the city of Provo are pleased to extend our deep congratulations to DHI management and employees for providing superior service to your clientele. And we recognize your contributions, your many contributions to the Provo community, and for your 50 years of excellence in this business, the data processing software and services business. This has been signed and sealed, and we present it to you with our appreciation and congratulations on this very, very special race.
You can see we have all kinds of traits in our wonderful mayor. You know, as I'm preparing for this talk, the thought came through my mind, kind of a terrifying thought. You know, and I picked up the phone and I dialed 2104 and I asked my wife, could you please go through the payroll and tell me how much it's going to cost this company for every minute that I talk here today. My talk is going to be very short. We really do appreciate all of you being here with us today. We appreciate the mayor and Steve Densley and they're being here to help us celebrate this historical event. But most of all, we appreciate all of you, because without you, we wouldn't be standing here today. We appreciate the hours and hours and the dedication that you have to this company and what you've done. We appreciate these two gentlemen for the type of community that they have helped build here, where we can live in this kind of an environment and we can conduct business in this kind of environment. And we too go around the country and we see other areas. This is a great place to live and a great place to conduct business. We appreciate all that's done in our behalf. Now, I would be a little less than honest if I didn't tell you, over the last 50 years, there's one thing that really has me just a little bit miffed. And that is, you know, if you walk into my office, you don't see any of these honorary doctor's degrees, you don't see all of these presentations and these honors, you know, and you can see who got this one. You know, and that really does have me just a little bit upset. But you know what? Last night I had my opportunity. At the Angels game, they asked me if I would throw out the first pitch. And I was excited. Here was my chance of receiving an honor. And so, you know, I went down to the mound and they had a young lady there that was to escort me out and show me where I was supposed to stand. They wouldn't let me stand right on the mound with my foot on the rubber. So things would have been quite a bit different. But anyway, I walked out to the appointed spot. The young lady stood off a little bit. I guess she was fearful of her life or something. She was standing off just a little bit, and I looked, you know, the announcer made this statement, "We direct your attention to the pitcher's mound for the honorary first pitch." And as we walked out there, and I stopped and I looked up into the crowd, there were 5,000 eyes just glued right on me. And I was excited. You know, this was my moment. And then the announcer went on and he said, "Our distinguished guest, Mr. Lynn Randall, will throw out the first pitch." I was just absolutely devastated. There it was gone. He misstated my name. Nobody would know who it was out there. You know? And so it was really deflating to see that. But I went ahead and I threw the first pitch. And then I did feel terrible. Until all of a sudden I remembered nobody knew who I was. It didn't matter if that pitch was high and away. That didn't make a bit of difference. Nobody would know who that dummy on the mound was. So, you know, I felt a little better after that. But I really want to explain to you, because probably Tom gave it away, and so you know who it was out there. But it wasn't my fault. Because when I was standing there talking to this young man that was going to be the catcher, you know, I know a little bit about baseball. And I went up to him and I said, "Hey, what are the signs going to be today so I know what pitch you want me to throw?" This is a true story, by the way. And he looked back at me with a smile on his face, and it says, "It doesn't matter. I'll catch whatever you throw." And the young lady was right there and piped in, "Yeah, he's never missed one yet." You know? So I chose a high and away. That was my seriously, when I was out there, though, I had an experience with this young man that was catching. We had a few minutes before the time for us to go out on the mound and for him to catch that pitch. And I was talking to him. He was from Miami, Florida. And, you know, I asked him how he liked playing here in Utah. And he indicated that when he came into this valley, walked into that stadium and saw this beautiful setting with the mountains all around, that it was just, he was just awestruck. And it was a wonderful place, and he really enjoys playing here. So I think there's a lot of times we do take our community for granted, and what goes on to make this place what it is. So again, thanks, William, for what you do. I hope that all of you feel as proud of what we've accomplished in this company as I do, because you certainly have a right to, because it is, as has been said, because of all of you and all of your efforts that we're here celebrating these 50 years. There's few other companies in the nation that can make this claim under the same management. If you call a 13-year-old boy in the basement of his home a manager in a company, then we can make that claim. And again, we have been credited as being the first and the original high-tech company in this community and in this valley. I've got an advantage, though, that none of you have. I was born to wonderful, and I know you were born to wonderful parents too, but I was born to Bliss and Mildred Crandall, and what an advantage and a wonderful thing that was for me. I didn't have to go through a job interview to get hired in this company. It came to me as a responsibility as a family member. And you know, when I was a young man, after I'd worked in the family business in the basement of our home, this little apartment, pushing IBM cards through all these old electronic tabulating machines, I realized, hey, this isn't what I want. There's no future in this. You know, what I need is to go over and work on my granddad's farm. I want to haul hay, I want trucks and tractors and cattle and horses and this type of thing. And that's where the future is and what's fun and exciting. And so I did that. During my high school, my dad grew up, you know, on a farm, and so he believed that work was from when the sun came up in the morning until it went down at night, and that's kind of the way we were trained. But and that's the way it was on the farm, so that didn't matter. But it was the same way in the business, except there the lights come on and you can keep working until quite a bit after the sun goes down. But so it wasn't too exciting to me. I'd grown up with punch cards and wiring boards and all that type of thing we had to do back in those days. But you know, I felt I really wanted to be a farmer, and not being too stupid, I decided, you know, I got to have some land. And so as a senior in high school, I talked my dad and brothers into helping me buy 20 acres of land over in Springville, and you know, started to run that and raise some alfalfa on it and some things like that. I was pretty excited about it. And then I went to BYU and had my first class in accounting, and realized there was no way in the world that I could amass the finances that I need to be successful in farming. And so I stayed in business, and I'm glad that I've done that. Because what a wonderful business, and what a wonderful opportunity, what an exciting business that it has been. I too want to thank you for the way you treat my mother. What a wonderful thing it is, you know, as you go by and just make your kind comments to her. You know, I think the reason that at 90 years old she is still so young and vibrant is because of the friendship she feels from you as you walk by her office. Now, I realize a little bit of incentive there is she hands out the payroll to the paycheck. You know, over and above that, you know, we appreciate that. I appreciate my wife and for all of the help and support that she has been for me over the years. You know, there were often times when we were struggling, and I would work most of the night preparing a proposal that had to be delivered the next day. And she would get up out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning when I got home, and she would type a proposal so it was in a presentable form that when I got up at 8 o'clock I could take to Salt Lake and present. It would have been hard to do what I had to do without her picking up the load at home and carrying a big load here at work, and I appreciate that. Now, all of you remember my father. It hasn't been too long since he has passed, and most of you were here then. But you know, I was blessed with wonderful parents, and they taught us a wonderful thing of how to work and how to finish jobs. And I wish my dad were here. I miss him a lot. Although he didn't help me specifically with a lot of the programming and technical challenges, he always made me feel when I left his office that there wasn't anything in the world that I couldn't accomplish. And when we have that kind of confidence in ourselves, there isn't anything that we can't accomplish. And so I appreciate that. And I wish that he were here to see it, share in this moment, and see what we have done with his company. Now, he had a lot of interesting little quotes and things that he would say, and he said them often, and I'm sure most of you remember these, but let me just remind you of just a few of these. Have you heard the word specification creep? Right now, we are really struggling with that with some of our bigger clients that we're trying to bring on. Here was the product that they asked for, but as we got into it, this is what it became, and that is awful hard to do that. Well, I thought Lee Day, where's Lee? I thought he had quoted that or coined that phrase in our company, but I was listening to the tape from the 40th anniversary, and Dad had said that on that tape. But Lee did remind me of it when we were talking about some of the challenges that we're facing right now. He would often say, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. How true that is. When performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported, performance accelerates. Have you ever heard the term from him, we need to turn this liability into an asset? And how many times in our company have we seen that really happen? In the data processing industry, it's not possible to do things 100% right all the time. We're only human. And from time to time, there'll be a few errors creep into it. But when that happens, how we respond to those errors determines, it really does turn that liability into an asset. And a lot of times, it's better to have had the problem because the relationship is stronger than if the problem had never occurred before. I love that one that he mentions. One's judgment is no better than his information. Isn't that what we're all about? Providing people with information so that they can make correct decisions on accurate information? We must have balance in our life and in everything we do. And he was getting at here that in any product that we develop, there needs to be a certain amount of stability and there needs to be a certain amount of change, and you have to balance that. If you are continually changing something, you're going to fail. And if you don't change it enough to keep abreast of the latest techniques and the latest technology and stay out there on the leading edge, you're going to fail. So the challenge is balancing that. Then there's one from my mother. When we were living up in Logan, we had this giant garden. And to a little 8, 9, 10-year-old, anything longer than this tent is a giant garden. And I believe it was longer than this. I don't know exactly. But she would come up with a statement when I'd come in, and I'd stopped weeding about halfway down the row. Lynn, you need to hoe to the end of the row. And isn't that true also? In anything we do, we don't have very many clients that are willing to pay us very much money for a job that's half done. We need to hoe to the end of the row. Well, it's hard to tell in just 10 or 15 minutes 50 years of history. And as I sat down in the last couple of days and thought what I might tell you about, I wanted to go back through and tell you some of the exciting things that had happened over the years, and specifically where we'd been. But it's not possible to do all that. And so I'm going to talk about just a few things now. One thing that I've just been extremely disappointed in is we haven't done a very good job of keeping a history of the technical and all of the different business changes that have taken place over the last 50 years. And what a tragedy that is. We have some, and Reggie is working very vigorously on a wall pictorial that will show the history of the equipment and a lot of these kind of things. But I'd like to pull out a board right here and show you how to wire a board. There's a lot of you here know how to write a C# program or C++ program or many other languages, but I don't think there's anyone here that knows how to wire a board. Okay, I don't see anybody standing up. We've got one. And that's right. I forgot that Steve was back in that era too, even though he's younger than I am. Okay. Ken mentioned that when this business started, it was in a tiny little apartment in the basement of our home up in Logan, Utah, at about 700 north and 600 east. And then just a year later, we moved to Provo, where Dad was made the Dean of Admissions and Records at BYU. And he served in that position for a couple of years and then realized that, you know, in order for our business to be successful, he was going to need to quit up there and come down and work full time. And so we did that. Prior to that time, we had a manager hired and so on. I was 13 when that happened, and Ken was 11. Well, from that humble beginning, we have grown from about 3 employees to, Beth tells me on the last payroll, we were 237 employees. Bursting at the seams, you know, we're struggling for space. And as Steve Densley mentioned, we are working on our expansion plans. You've seen the construction going on out here for the parking lot, and the new building, which will be a 3-story building, 33,000 square feet, will be directly behind us, almost even with the other 3-story building that we have back there. We were successful in getting all of this through Provo City and the Planning Commission, and we really appreciate that. That went well. Well, there's a lot of little individual stories, but I'm not going to be able to go into those. Let me skip ahead and share with you a couple of significant events that took place in the history of this company as we went through history. You know, first of all, this company just about didn't get off the ground. You remember back in the start, my father had sat down and been approached by the extension dairyman in Utah saying, look, Bliss, we've got all of these hundreds of dairy cattle records that are all hand computed. Is there any way that we could take the, and he was working at Utah State University at that time as the assistant director of the experiment station. Is there any way that we could take this these tabulating equipment that you have and do this mechanically? And Dad sat down with him and they worked out a way. And they proved it was there, and then other states wanted to come on and start using the system. And it was decided by the administration and the university that this is a proven system now. It needs to be moved to the private sector, and that private sector was the basement of our home in Logan. Well, what happened was, at that time then, Dad had to order a bunch of tabulating equipment from IBM in order to, that we could run these and produce these reports and so on for the dairy. And so Dad went ahead and he put this equipment on order. And then a little bit later, he was at a convention, and the United States Department of Agriculture got up and they announced, we're going to go ahead and create a program to process the production records on dairy cattle for all of the states in the United States. And Dad was just heartbroken. He got on the phone immediately, he called our IBM salesman, and he said, we need to cancel the order. The jobs we were going to do, there's no opportunity for it. Well, IBM said, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And what a wonderful thing that was. The equipment has already been shipped. It should be showing up on your doorstep tomorrow or the next day. And so we then started going into competition with the United States government. And you'll notice in this one situation, we won the battle. We're still in business and they're not good. Kind of a shaky start to get going when you see that happened. Okay, then I want to tell you about one other one. All of you are aware, and there are a number of these over time that I could sit down and tell you about, but we just don't have time to do that right now, especially considering the cost per minute that Beth provided us. Let's talk just a minute about our banking and savings and loan division and what happened a number of years ago there. Let's go back in 1964 when we started in this business. At that point in time, the type of data processing we were doing, we had Deseret Federal was the first company. They had offices here in Provo and offices in Salt Lake, and expanded quickly to 2 or 3 others. But we worked out a system for them where the tellers would sit down and they would record all of the transactions for the day, the deposits, the withdrawals, the loan payments, the new loans, the new accounts. And they would bundle up those tickets, put an adding machine tape on it, go over and put them on a bus in Salt Lake. We would pick them up here in Provo, and they would come each night about 7 o'clock to our business, we had a number of key punch operators that would punch that information into IBM cards, and then about midnight we would go through and run reports where we would completely update and give them a long trial balance showing all of the transactions that had happened so far that month, that day, and the whole month, plus the accrued interest to that date so they could figure payoffs. They didn't just touch a button in those days and boom, up came a payoff amount. They had to calculate it based on the accrued interest, which wasn't too hard. And you know, that would go back to them and they'd have it by 8 o'clock in the morning when they got back in their business. Then in about 1975, technology got to the point that online capabilities, real-time capabilities were available. And so we sat down with these savings and loans and went through that with them, and they were crying for it. And we were crying to provide it for them. But we had 90 days to do it in. In 90 days, we had to go through and have an online system up and running. Well, that was a pretty hard thing to do, even though the systems weren't as sophisticated in those days as they are now. And so we decided with them that we would go out and look at some of the systems that were available, and we would purchase a system. And we decided on a system from Financial Data Processing Systems in St. Louis, Missouri. And they were all in agreement. We had 5 institutions that we had band together that were going to work with us on this product, and it was for it. They were Deseret Federal, First Federal Savings and Loan, American Savings and Loan, Home Federal Savings and Loan, and in Ogden, First Federal Savings and Loan of Ogden. And they had all committed to us verbally that they were going to go with us on this product. Well, it got down, and we'd put detailed performance statements together to show just exactly how we were going to accomplish this in 90 days. And it was tight, but we were confident we could do it. And it got down to the Friday before we were supposed to go out and meet with them on Monday and sign the contracts. And we had a large competitor in Salt Lake City named Prudential Federal Savings and Loan. And Prudential Federal went to Home Federal Savings and Loan and convinced them to sign a contract on the spot. They gave them a real sweetheart deal. And they signed that contract on the spot. And of course, Prudential's idea was if we take that away, there's no way that they can be successful and do it. I had gone through the performance statements in detail, and so had the president of every one of those 5 savings and loans. And they also knew that it was going to be impossible for us to do that and continue that project forward. So they had scheduled a meeting. I heard about it on Friday morning. They scheduled a meeting with all of the other presidents of the savings and loans for 8 o'clock on Monday morning. And we were just devastated because we knew this was a wonderful opportunity. We knew that there were a lot of business out there that we could get. We didn't want to lose that business. And as we looked at it in the afternoon on Friday, we started getting an inkling of an idea of a way we could modify some of the things we were doing. And if we could sell the remaining savings and loans on that hadn't signed a contract, there might be a possibility that we could make it work. And so we worked through the night, Friday night, and we were confident by then that we could do it. But the time was gone, and it looked impossible because they were going to have a meeting at 8 o'clock Monday morning. Now, you know there's a good ending to this story because we're all sitting here. So bear with me for just a minute, but it is kind of tender for me because it was a tough time. And so I knew that we had a real friend at American Savings and Loan. It was a man named Fred Smolka. But I also knew on Saturday, that Friday, he had left to go to Fish Lake where he had a cabin with his family. And I didn't have any way of getting a hold of him. And we were devastated because we knew that we had a plan that we could make work. And we felt confident we could convince these last 4 that we could convince them that it would really work and it would do a good job for them. And, you know, I got the thought, you know, let me just look in the phone book and call information and see if by any chance there's a phone down there somewhere at Fish Lake where I could get a hold of this guy. Because to be successful, I knew I had to have him on my side. And so we looked and there were no Smolkas listed there. In fact, there was only one phone that we could find at Fish Lake going through quite an extensive exchange with an information officer to try and find this out. We found that there was a lodge down there that had a phone. And so I called that lodge, and a man came on the phone, and he said, you know, this is such and such lodge. And I said, by any chance, is there a man there by the name of Fred Smoka? Or do you know him? And he said, just a minute. And I heard him holler over the phone, uh-oh, we've got a wounded Indian. That's just exactly how I felt about this time. He went over the phone, and I heard him just holler out, hey, is there a Fred Smoka here? And in just a minute, Fred Smoka came on the line. And I was able to go through just briefly on the phone and explain what we could do to do this, and he bought it. And he said, Lynn, we've got a tough job. And we decided that if we could call all the presidents and get an early breakfast meeting for Monday morning, that maybe we had a chance to do this. He said, let me take that responsibility, and you put together the proposal in a formal way. And we went ahead and worked through and did that. Well, you know, the thing that's interesting about this story is that he told me later that he had never in his life walked into that lodge except that one time when I made that call. I wish that I could stand here and tell you a lot of the other situations just like that, when I know that there's been divine intervention in our behalf to make this company go, as well as an awful lot of hard work from all of you. Well, the nature of the business that we're in is to solve problems. If it was easy, they wouldn't need us. You know, and so from time to time, you know, we have problems. And we've done some wonderful, fantastic things over the years to meet the challenges and the things that have come in. I can't tell you how excited when we asked you to step to the plate and help us with this Operation Client Care that we started about 2 months ago, and the successes that have happened with that. You have done the impossible, and you've done it time after time after time. I know it gets a little bit old sitting in a room arm to arm with somebody, but it has really worked, and we appreciate, you know, what you've done to make that happen. It's also helped us just a little bit that we haven't needed the new building quite as fast, because a lot of empty office space around where you're all in one room working together. So we killed 2 birds with 1 stone on that one. You know, often I am asked, how can a small company like yours accomplish what you do and compete with these great big companies that have billions of dollars in research and development funds that they spend? You know, and there's a number of really good reasons. Obviously, some of those are because of you right here and the wonderful workforce that we have in this valley and the work ethic that the people have. But I think also we have built a very strong balance sheet with excellent reserves. It's one that would stand up against any other company when you look at the ratios and so on. And you know, Ken took away a 0 on the number of cows. If we took away a few zeros from our balance sheet amounts, we'd have the exact same statement that Bill Gates has with Microsoft. You know, we're right in that same category. I believe we would have better ratios than he has. And appreciate all of you and what you've done to make that happen. But it's made it so that we're possible. One of the things that we do in this company that's made us strong, and I'm sure many of you know this, we reinvest the profits right back into the company. We don't take an awful lot of dividends and things like this out of the company, but reinvest those profits back into it to build a company. And that has worked really well for us, because it's made it possible for us to compete with these big companies and come up with products in a lot of cases that are better, and with service that's better than what they provide. We have 3 divisions. That stability by having 3 divisions has really helped us, where there's a downturn in one division, the other divisions carry the load while that's happening. You remember the kill program in the dairy area? You remember the problems with the savings and loans a number of years ago, where a lot of them were going out of business and being taken over by the Resolution Trust Corporation of the government. We were able to go through those because the other divisions helped us. And in our healthcare division, there was a time in 1980 when it really gave us a boost, and when we needed it. And so that has really worked for us. We are a debt-free company with strong reserves, and so we don't have to have a lot of bankers in here telling us how to run the company. We can run it and make the decisions ourselves. We're not a public company, and so we're not controlled by a large number of uninvolved investors that are interested in other things than the best, a lot of times the best interests of the company. We make decisions that we believe best suit the needs of our clients and our employees, and we don't have to worry about the investors. We have long tenure of our employees, and I'm going to go through that in just a second because I'm really proud of that and the people that have made this company go. We're not constantly retraining people because of that long tenure. Another thing that I think really speaks well for the type of people that we are and you are is that we have never been involved in a lawsuit, had a lawsuit brought against us in the last 50 years. You know, in any situation where there's been a dispute, we've been able to sit down and resolve those issues before it actually went to court. We have never missed a payroll in 50 years. We're excited about the future. You know, as I sit here, never in our history have we had so many opportunities that are just sitting there staring us in the face. We've got to get through some of these challenges that we face. I believe within the next 4 years we will double the size of this company. And that's exciting when you see that possible growth. Our growth has been a consistent, you know, down in the 10-15% per year range. But now we face that kind of growth. We've got some opportunities we've got to overcome. On the new building, you can notice that we've gone ahead and started the parking lot. We've also given the architects the approval to finish all the detailed plans. And just as soon as we have firm dates and commitments on these finance companies, we're going to start the building going. Hopefully that's in just a few months. Well, I'm out of time. Let's talk just for a few minutes. Well, I want to read one letter that I just received. You know, after each conversion in the FBS division, we go in for a post-conversion meeting. And in that meeting, we ask the individuals, why did you select FBS as your data processing provider, the one that's going to control all of your management information and provide you with the reports and the things you need to be successful in your business? Do you know what the number one answer is invariably? It's your people. You know, they love our people. I can't tell you how much and how proud I am of you and the way you deal with our customers. Let me read this one letter. You know, maybe I ought to frame some of these and put them on my wall because these mean more to me than the other things. But, dear Mr. Jorgensen, thank you for your visit to First Federal after the conversion. This is from First Federal Savings and Loan Association of Peking, and it's dated June 28, 2004, so it's just barely this last week. This visit with the call by Mr. Moyes meant a lot during the post period. It is now 5 weeks since May 22nd, and all systems are running smoothly. I wanted to take this time to let you know your conversion team did a great job with our training before the event and their support during the conversion and the post period. We are looking forward to their follow-up visits. The team consisted of Ryan Wilcox and Troy Lilly for savings, Kay Filimoyatu for loans, Robert Stevens for general ledger, Blaine Kennison for network, and Stephen Packard for network. I also wanted to let you know that all of your staff are exceptionally friendly and helpful. All of us that attended training sessions in Utah commented on this. Thank you again, and we are all looking forward to doing business with you for many years to come. That's the thing that makes this company great. Okay, let me just go over with you and recognize those employees that have been here the longest, you know, and we have wonderful employees that have been here 6 months or even a month that are doing fantastic things for us. But this list are those people that have been with us the longest. I'm going to mention the top 20, and I'd like you to stand as your name is read and remain standing, if you would please. Terry Zimbrennan was hired on May of 1974, and she's been with us 34 years. And she's not here right now. She's got someone was getting married down in Manti, and so she had to go to that. Dave Robinson, April of 1971, 33 years. Julie Knuckle. January of 1972, 32 years. Maybe we could hold the applause until we get all done. Dale Sandberg, 1974, April of 1974, 30 years. Leslie Brost, November of 1974, 30 years. Bob Kershaw, June of 1975, 29 years. Doral Keniston, January of 1976, 28 years. Gil Porter, September 1976, 28 years. Lee Day, May 1977, 27 years. Steve Carter, July of 1977, 27 years. Walt Whitaker, July of 1976, 1978, 26 years. I don't have my glasses on, so help me a little bit. Bob Chesworth, August of 1978, 26 years. Deborah Hundley, May of 1979, 25 years. Lucy Epley, July of 1979, 25 years. Gloria Kimball, September of 1979, 25 years. Earl Jorgensen, September of 1980, 24 years. Neil Thompson, April of 1981, 23 years. Ken Barnes, August of 1981, 23 years. Steve Cottam, September of 1981, 23 years. And Jay McNamara, November of 1981, 23 years. Now, as I stand, who have I missed? Did I miss Dirk? How could I miss Dirk? Mr. Dirk Baum, it's on the list. March of 1976, 28 years. Dirk started with us when he was still in high school. And I think it was a 1640, was it 1640, that little perforated tape machine that you would program for the school district, and then you came in and showed us some of your programs, and we hired him on the spot. He's been excellent for us, so Dirk, my sincere apology. It was the glasses, not me. Thanks, Lee. You know, could I get all the rest of you to stand for just a minute? You know, as I look into your faces, I wish I had time to go down and explain those special challenges and those special events that have occurred and the times that we've spent together and the special moments that we've had as we've dealt with the different challenges that have faced in this industry. Mayor Billings and Mr. Densley, I would like to introduce to you the finest group of data processing professionals in the world. I'm just about done, and we're just about to the allotted time. I've got 2 minutes. I have seen us accomplish the impossible, and those times are really near and dear to me when I've seen the sacrifices that you have made and the sacrifices that your family have made to make this company great. And I sincerely appreciate that, and I hope that you could feel that and understand my feelings for all of you and the help and support. I've never asked you to come to the plate when you haven't hit a home run, and I appreciate that. Our greatest asset truly is our people. Thank you for your support and all you've done.